Okay, so just starting us out, we're recording a tutorial about setting up user preferences in Wikidata, and there's two tasks specifically that we're going to take on. We've got three of our interns with us this afternoon, and Alex is going to be in the driver's seat so we can watch the whole process and follow along as it unfolds. So Alex, can I invite you to share your screen?
Yes. Should I go to the link you sent?
Yeah, and when Alex's screen comes up, he is navigating to the wiki project for the idea project. And this is kind of where
Um,
we keep
yes.
documentation related to the project. Okay, great.
Can you
So
see?
yes, I can see your screen. And if you will, at this point, scroll probably like 3/4 of the way down, you're looking for blue tabs. There they are. And if you'll click on the tab Resources for Participants, we've tried to keep some notes about useful things to set up for new participants. So if you'll scroll down, we're going to do the language settings and turn on gadgets. So um, let me just explain a couple of things about this. So the language settings in Wikidata, when when you're searching by queue numbers, and the queue number kind of stands in for the idea of whatever the concept is that is being described. And different languages can map their label, their way of calling that thing in their different languages. So what we're going to set up is what's called a fallback chain. So if there is no label in your preferred language, it will show you the label in a different language that you read and then a different language that you read. Um,
So should I
okay.
navigate to?
No, nothing yet. Just still doing the background. So then the other piece is that this will set up a little language box on your user profile. So your user profile in Wikidata is the place where it's kind of like a um, public facing mailbox where people can leave you individual messages. And so somebody else in the community may say, "Oh, I saw you were working on this item. You know, I'm working on something similar. What do you think about XYZ?" Um, and so the first thing we're going to have to do is to set up that user profile. Um, and then you're going to put a little snippet of code in that user profile that will let other users know what languages you speak. So it sets up this little box that then other users will know which languages they can contact you in, but it also controls which languages will be the preferred languages that will show up at the top of your personal Wikidata account. All right. So under number 2, there is a little snippet of code, and I need you to copy that from curly brace to curly brace. Okay. And once that's done, then in number 3, if you can right click on the first link and open that in the background in a separate tab. All right. And if you scroll down, you'll see what this is. Um, This is the 2-letter language codes that are supported in the Wikimedia environment. So we're going to use EN for English for the first one, but then I'd like you to set up another couple of languages. So any language that you read or have had instruction in or are just curious about, there are ways to let the community know what your level of proficiency is. So you'll be using the codes on this page to in the next step that I'm going to walk you through. So if you'll click to that wiki project page that we were just on in your tab, good. And then at the end of number 3, you're going to click on here and open that also in a separate tab. And if you'll scroll down just a little bit more, a little bit more, and here. Do you see those different numerical codes? that's the scale for kind of indicating your level of proficiency in a given language. So we're going to come back to this as well. All right, so if you'll go back to the Wiki project page and just leave this open. And then I need you to scroll up to the very top of this page. And on the right-hand side, you need to log in with your Wikimedia account. Okay, and now that you're logged in, you should be able to click on your username in the upper right corner.
Yes.
Okay, and just follow that link. All right, and that first line, that first sentence says there's currently no text in this page. And the last statement is create this page. So you're going to click on that link for create this page. And this is setting up that user mailbox, essentially. So you should put in at least one line about yourself that you feel comfortable having public facing. Mine says something like, I'm a specialist in ancient Mediterranean art and architecture and working on the IDEA project. You could say, I'm a student working on the IDEA project.
Yeah, that might be more accurate.
And then it's up to you, how much else you want to make note about yourself. This is editable. You can always come back and change this at any time. All right, and if you'll push enter and stay on in that same edit panel, and then I want you to paste in the code that you cut from the previous. So where you see the XX, you're going to replace with a two-letter language code. So the first XX, you can swap out for EN, lowercase letters. And then the first I, you can replace with one of those numerical codes. So I expect that you're all native English speakers, so you can do a capital N for native. All right, and then, yeah, exactly. Then you'll just put in as many of those language codes and corresponding level of proficiency and as you like.
All right, that look good?
Yeah, that looks good. I'd like you to also, why don't you, in case people on the screen need to be able to add an additional language more than that, in order to do that, you have to repeat the pipe, and the pipe is shift and then above the return key, at least on a US keyboard. All right, and then why don't you do AR for Arabic? And then -0. I mean, unless you have Arabic. But
I
that's
do
just to
not.
say that if you just want to see the label, then you can just disclose that, it's not a language you read, but you're interested in it for one reason or another. All right, then toward the bottom of the edit box, you see summary. Best practice in the community is always to leave like a little breadcrumb trail behind yourself as to what you edited and why. This can be very brief and it's kind of like note to self. The reason we do this is because as you become more advanced, people work on like big batches of material, like thousands of edits all in one push of a button. There's a tool called Open Refine that you can kind of prepare spreadsheet data and then push it all at once. And so imagine if you made a big edit and then you made some mistake. If you have notated it, it's easier to come back and like revert that edit than it would be if you hadn't left good notes for yourself. The other thing is that when you're working on a collaborative project, leaving these kind of breadcrumbs behind yourself is kind of common courtesy for the people coming after you to be able to, I don't know, read what it was that you were up to or what you were working on at a given time. You can also think of it in terms of like archiving, so like future archiving. Imagine 10 or 20 years from now, there's like a background record of all of this work that is happening on a project like ours. So you're kind of leaving notes for future as to what was being done and when. All right, so Yeah, updating user profile. Perfect. You can push publish. And then do you see what this did? It created your, oh, this is actually important. I see that there's an error in the code and we'll need to go back and edit it, but I'm glad that this happened. So you've created your user box, but where it says template user, you put in SP instead of ES for
Ah,
Spanish. So where it says edit on the upper right-hand corner, click there and then just update that.
I'm also just going to change the order real quick.
Okay. Oh, summary.
Oh,
It's okay. It's just to get you in the habit of it. Okay, good. So you see all of this is now parsing correctly. And if you will click on the left-hand menu where it says random item, I just want to show you what the outcome of this is. You see now the languages that you asked for are the ones that are prefed at the top of the item. And
yes.
yeah, if there are additional language labels, you can click on all entered languages to open that. So just at the bottom of that, yeah, right. So in this case, there's not a long list of them. Looks like this is a pretty new item, but just to show you how your languages now get kind of prefed at the top of the record.
Right.
All right. The other thing I want you to do is why don't we go back to your user profile, click the back button. And on the upper left-hand corner, do you see the discussion? You click there. There's not going to be anything there right now, but this is a place where other users could post questions or feedback directly to you. All right, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little profile icon. And if you'll click on preferences, and then gadgets, and oh, looks like you've already turned some on. So the merge tool we'd like to have turned on, that's the first one. And if you'll scroll a little bit, I think I must have done this with you already. You can click on Resonator, get that one. Duplicate references, then Recoin is very useful. And Site Tool, sorry, you passed it there. And then there's one other one called Related Items that should be a little further up. I think I just missed it in the list. There it is. Yeah. All right. And so since you haven't changed anything, it's not possible for you to save, but for anybody who's watching this later, you should then be able to save. And that sets up a bunch of tools that just make Wikidata editing a lot easier and helps with some of the more repetitive processes. All right. I think that's it. Are there any questions? Okay. Thanks, Alex, for demoing.